So, as I was saying off air,
Yes.
we have beaten the horse of Journey drama
Mm-hmm.
so many times, and yet
I think really Journey is beating the horse of Journey drama, and we're simply commenting on that.
I feel like at this point you're onto something. They might be baiting us. And what really clued me into that was when I saw Arnel Pineda say, "If 1 million people tell me to quit the band, I'll quit the band."
Yeah.
1 million people post right here in comments to quit the band, I will go. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Isn't that like a fishing technique?
It's something. It's some kind of a technique. I hope it's something, not simply a guy melting down and thinking that makes sense. I hope there's a strategy to this, and it's not a legitimate emotional, reckoning where he's trying to make sense of something and thinks that going to social media is a healthy place.
Yeah. I mean, and for people who haven't read the drama, I don't blame you, but apparently Journey had a very bad showing at Rock in Rio, and Arnel Pineda had just a bad vocal night.
Mm-hmm.
And Neal Schon is saying it had something to do with Avenged Sevenfold damaging the PA.
Okay.
Okay. And then Arnel says, I had a bad night and nobody is more devastated than I am. And I think that's genuine. From everything I know about him, he is a genuine and very emotional guy, which, singers. And I think he is probably devastated that he had a bad showing. And singers are famous for their big egos and massive insecurities.
Yeah.
But you're right. Social media is not the place to do it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's, I don't know. I'm all for respecting the general vibe of fans, but that doesn't mean going to fans literally and asking, "Hey, what do you guys all think?" en masse. I'm also a big, I'm not a fan of Henry Ford the man, but Henry Ford the businessman did have a brilliant line when he said, when he was rolling out his first line of cars, his line was, "If I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse." You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Arnel, if you ask them what they want, they're going to say Steve Perry. That's not going to happen. Don't open the door.
Let's not pretend that there's any sort of democracy in the band Journey, much less the extended Journey universe.
Yeah, right.
There's no democracy there at all.
That's a very good point.
Like, we can't even get the Lords to agree on the fiefdom here. So,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's, like I said, if there's some game to be played or some, if it's a, hey, look over here so you don't notice this, I get it. But if it's an honest to God, I'm thinking of quitting because I can't take the fan slander anymore, and maybe I'll ask them their thoughts, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Now, you mentioned during like 2 podcasts ago that the online feud between the Oasis brothers was perhaps inflated a bit over the last couple of years in advance of their reunion tour. Do you think that Journey has kind of decided that they've hit on a winning formula in terms of getting the band's name out and around the world and back as fast as possible with this drama?
That would be a better story. I'd rather that be the case than thinking that it's really as insane as it is. But I think I don't think that's the Neal Jonathan Cain thing. I think they're actually suing each other myself. I just think they're probably, because that's an embarrassing way to do that. You'd come up with a, go save someone from a burning building. Set that up. Stage
as
that.
far as PR stunts go, this is not.
Yeah, don't stage this guy's spending too much money. That's not. I don't think that's staged. If any, and maybe Arnel is trying to say, don't look over there, look over here. Maybe that's his way of saving face for the band, and the fact that they do kind of look like a bit of a clown car right now. But
he's falling on his sword.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now, could there possibly be any truth to the assertion that Avenged Sevenfold had created some level of damage that could not have been repaired before their set?
I guess, hell, I don't know, but I know this. It wouldn't mean he wasn't singing better or worse. If the sound was messed up, that's hardly the vocalist's fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it just sounds like someone's trying to cover. So I don't know what any of this means, honestly. I've never heard of a band messing up a PA that messed up the next band's vocals. So, who knows?
The irony to that is we now have a beef between Megadeth and Peter Frampton.
I saw that today.
Peter Frampton is alleging that Megadeth damaged the PA and that he wasn't able to perform because of it.
Yeah, and then Megadeth said, no, we had the same problem at the same venue. The idea that anybody would, and Dave Mustaine, who not exactly known to be the funniest guy in the world, not walking around with a sterling sense of humor from my peripheral experience.
Yeah.
Peter Frampton's like the sweetest guy in the world. He's the most harmless, just wants to plug in and play, and he's just friendly, and he's a wonderful guy. And
he's charming, and then you add the accent.
Yeah, he apologized. Said, sorry, it was just a joke. And it's like, yeah, even if it wasn't, who cares? Who cares? What?
He's Peter Frampton. He's so sweet.
Yeah, and
talented.
And if Peter Frampton says your band messed up a venue, the only answer to that is no, he didn't. Let it go. Who cares?
Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, that's who cares.
I mean, honestly, he is world famous for his level of petty.
Well, I'm just like, is there a photo of Peter Frampton and Hetfield circulating that he just saw the other day or something? Like something got him triggered.
That actually, that could be more on the nose. I wonder if he got caught playing Kirk Hammett's guitar greenie or something.
Oof, you never know.
And that's kind of a thing that I saw was happening with Jeff Beck's guitar. Oh, hey, Chauncey.
Hey.
Is it walking time?
Stop. It's walking time for other dogs, and he's defending the turf. He's pissed. God. Stop, please. Here.
Come on, buddy.
Treat.
Oh, that's right. You got the headphones in. I always think I can talk to him.
Hey, come here. Hang on a second. I gotta deal with this.
No worries.
The simplest way is just to simply feed the man.
I think that works for everything.
Yeah, it really does.
Probably would have worked for Dave Mustaine. Somebody would have just handed him a cookie.
Yeah, it's not that complicated, really. Just stay hydrated. Get a sandwich every now and again. Let Peter Frampton be Peter Frampton. All right, we've got food. We've got water.
Excellent.
There. Bastard. Okay.
And 3, 2, 1. So also, I don't think we talked about this, but did you see where Jeff Beck's widow is bringing his guitar around and asking people to play it?
No, I have not seen that.
Oh, God. Now I can't remember where it was, but John Mayer was one of them.
Okay.
And let's see if I can find the other one. But it's his guitar tech and his widow. And they have decided to kind of quietly start bringing his guitar around to other guitarists and asking them to play something on it in tribute as kind of a way for them to process and
sure
to help everybody kind of do that. It's let's see, it's Steve Lukather was one of the other ones.
Okay.
And I kind of love this as an idea. They asked Billy Gibbons, John Mayer, and me, and they're just getting started.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, actually. I can't imagine anything that those guitarists could feel more, anything they'd feel more strongly about than playing one of his guitars.
I'm kind of surprised that something like this hasn't happened already. Have you ever heard of anybody doing that?
No, I mean, there's a handful of guitars that make the rounds. You'll always see someone, somebody pops up playing one of Jerry's guitars. I mean, I was at a gig with my band Trigger Hippie once, and someone turned up with one of Dwayne Allman's guitars because the guitar player in my band knew this guy, and he brought it down. So my guitar player, my Tom Bukovac played a song with that guitar that night. And then of course I took pictures holding it just to piss off every guitarist I know. Because there's nothing more unnatural than me holding a guitar, trust me. But so, that's like more one-off things. I've never heard of anybody like with a plan to do that and like getting a hold of people ahead of time to say, hey, we're doing this. That's pretty cool. Because there's nothing else. There really is, especially like someone like Billy Gibbons. He and Jeff Beck were friends for 50 years. What else are you going to do? Just give me a few minutes with the man's guitar and let me connect back to my old friend. I think that's awesome.
I kind of hope it's a documentary in progress because I look forward to crying through it entirely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so today, is it today, the 5th anniversary of your book?
Yes, it came out on this day in 2019.
I did finish it, by the way. And
did you?
When I got to the end, I was so bummed. I was like, no, it's over now.
Yeah.
This is where it ends.
That's where it ends, man.
I feel like there's so much more.
Well,
I mean, could you be working on a second book?
No, God, no. I would not do that again. That's plenty. That's the story that I wanted to tell. And so I told it. That book, I wrote 3 times what was printed and then edited it down from there. But no, there's not, I don't have anything. I mean, it came out 5 years ago, but it ended long before 5 years ago. It was, the story unraveled for almost 30 years slowly by, piece by piece. So it's not something that feels fresh or recent to me at all. So I would have no interest in going back and coming up with more of that stuff. That's all. That's all well in the rear view.
Got edited and then maybe like a continuation?
Well, I think no, it didn't really go further. I mean, it still ended at the same place. It was just a whole lot more in the middle. And I think that it's funny when I wrote the book, my buddy Stephen Hayden, who's a great writer, he helped me put together the roadmap, and then he helped me edit down, what I had written. Mm-hmm. And he made a few really good points. And one was, he said, look, there's like just an example, like something that you read in the book. There's 3 or 4 other stories that are very similar. Like the context and the details might be different, but the takeaway would be the same. And he was saying, like, these 5 stories, they all feel different one by one, but in the course of the story, they basically tell the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's another example of X, Y, or Z. And he said, the reader isn't going to forget. You don't have to pound them over the head. And I knew when I wrote it, I was going to write more than I would need, because you have to just write it all. Then you can't edit as you write. And when he said that, that was really helpful. Like he could just look at it. I wrote it in order too. I wrote chapter 1, and then I wrote chapter 2, and then I wrote chapter 3. Like I just had to go in order the way my brain works. And so he was seeing the chapters as I was writing them, and all he said every time was, "This is really good. It's really long." And I'd go, "Okay." And then, so he was mentally sort of, thinking about a shorter version long before I was. And then when I turned it in, of course, I thought, well, this is the 975-page book that the world needs, clearly. And
nice.
And the publishing company was like, no.
Yeah, paper costs money. Yeah, I get that.
They're like, do you know how much it costs to print a book that big? And do you know how much we have to charge for it? And I was like, oh, yeah, never mind. Yeah.
Ask Stephen King.
Yeah, really.
Unless you've already got the movie rights in hand. Yeah.
But anyway, long answer to a short question. No, I'm not going to write another book. Not about the Black Crowes anyway. I might write another book one day about something else.
Okay.
I don't know about what. I'm not saying there's nothing like that's happening. And so I don't imagine it would.
For me personally, is there somewhere on a Word doc what happens next when you rejoined the band when you were like, I'm out, they can't pull me back in, and you waited till the last minute, and then you're like, at 9 o'clock, less than 24 hours before the gig, I made the call, and then end of chapter.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, but what was it like when you got there? How did they treat you? How did the crowd react to the surprise? Like, what happened after the show? Was it like old times? Was it weird or like? I'm very invested.
The crowd was out of their minds because we hit the first downbeat and the song was playing. We opened the first day back. The first song we played was called Virtue and Vice, and it hits on a downbeat, and the lights stayed down while it kicked in, or while the intro was playing. And when the drums kicked in and the full band hits, then they all came up, and it was in Atlanta, the band's hometown, at the Tabernacle, and there was like a half second, full second, and then just like everybody at one time just went, oh, and I will say, I mean, it was a great moment. It was like the roof just blew off the place, and everyone just yelled the whole first song, and then the ovation at the end of that song was really long, and it was fun. It was great. And then at the end of the night, when I walked around to say goodnight, the place, it was batshit crazy. It was awesome. Not everybody was really happy, and I mean, musically, it just fell right back into place, like no time had passed. And so initially that first year, 2005, was pretty great.
I mean,
and the thing is, I mean, 2006 through 2013, that's a big part of a lot of everything that happened there. It had already happened in the 90s. The names were changed. It was we were a little older, and some of us a little wiser, and it was just a lot of the same stuff. There were a lot of highs and there were a lot of horrible lows, and then you just look up and go, oh my God, we just did this all over again. What the hell? And that's, no reason to belabor all of that. And I also know that the majority of people that were going to read that book were interested in the 90s. The first run of that band is the band that really captured people's hearts. And not to say that the later versions didn't have their high points and attract new fans, but for me, and there was the other part too, which was my emotional commitment was never the same after 2006. So it was a very different approach to everything, and therefore there wasn't nearly as much to say because I had my priorities in a very different place.
It makes sense. I just from my standpoint, and I know that I am not the typical book reader, being in this industry, you just know how much shit there is on a daily basis that you kind of just keep powering through because the show must go on. And those moments, like right then and there, like that moment of like making that happen for all of those people who, were just so personally invested in the band to get just a complete and utter shock. Like those are the things that make me happy, that I think make it worthwhile, even if it's just worthwhile in that moment, even if that it's all gonna go to shit.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said, if the show the next night was in Indianapolis, I don't know. I mean, the fact that it was going back to Atlanta, the fact that we were going back to where it all started, I don't think that played a huge part in my decision to go back, but it was certainly on the table that would be a pretty cool place to come back. If I'm going to go back, where better,
Are you the kind of person who's like, the universe might be talking to me on this one?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, I've got both listening to the universe and it worked out, and ignoring the universe and it blew up in my face. So yeah, I've had a lot of both. So when the signs are there, you just got to open your eyes, get your head out of your ass and see them sometimes.
The other thing that really stuck out and just stabbed me in the heart was the post-Page conversation when you were walking around Hyde Park, just like shouting to yourself.
Yeah.
Like screaming to the world of like, are you fucking kidding me?
I know. And I mean, I that to me,
I
I
felt
knew
that in my bones.
when that was happening, when that was actually happening, I was aware of the absurdity. I mean, I was like laughing and yelling at the world too. I was mad and I was like, this is, my God, this is just the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. And but I really was like walking down the road just yelling. And I know if anybody driving by saw me, they'd be like, well, look at that large American who's clearly losing his mind over there.
Does he know we don't do that here?
Yeah, man. That's what it was, though.
Oh, God. It's a fantastic book. I'm actually probably going to go read it. I'm going to listen to it again and like make you tell me more stories because there were many, many occasions where I was like, but then what happened, Steve?
Well, thank you.
Mind.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's what it's there for.